Welcome to a little gameplay of Spiritual Warfare here. You're going to need one of these if you're using it the way we do. 6 chief parts of the Christian faith. You can find it in Luther's Small Catechism. It is kind of the Cliff Note version of this. So, anyway, this is how it works. The defenders of the faith are going to be played by me. The enemies of the faith are going to be played by Jake. And we have a very simple way of explaining all of the guys. Each of us has one of the different champions. So I have a theologian, missionary, steward, and mentor. They each have their own kind of things that they do. And then over here, we've got the
fanatic, guru, pagan, and humanist, and they all have special abilities that they can do as well.
Right. So the way the defenders have to really take out the enemies of the faith is by knowing the teachings of the Christian faith. If they don't know them, well, then the enemies kind of take over. They have more money, they have more resources, and they simply will just wipe us off the map.
And they also don't have to know anything to just put anything out. They can literally damage you by just saying whatever they want.
Exactly. All right, so here we go. It always starts with the bad guys because they don't play fair. So the enemies of the faith go first. So they draw one card for each of their enemy champions.
So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So what I have here is an interject, which can be played at any time. A possession, which you can attach to one of your guys to give him a bonus. And that's all I have in this here. There's also teachings, which is in the deck, which you play out, which also damage your opponent.
Okay, so there are 4 stages. The draw stage is first. Jake just did that. The second stage is the activation stage, where you can activate teachings or possessions. Possessions go underneath your enemy champion here, and activation of teachings go out here in front. And you follow the text on whatever they do, and it gives you benefits. It gives the bad guys benefits. The third stage is the encounter stage, where you will position your champions, and if he puts 2 of his powerful guys up, then I have to match it with 2 powerful guys. And then the fourth stage is the resource stage, where he will collect 1 resource for each of these +1s, for the pagan and for the guru. And those guys can get more resources as the game goes on. All right, so those are the 4 stages. Jake did draw stage, and now he's doing activation stage. Any teachings or possessions?
I have 2 possessions. I have deception, which makes my guardian ×2. In the encounter stage, that means he can encounter 2 guys and take 2 of them on at the same exact time. So I'm going to attach that to my fanatic because he has the highest influence.
Right, when defending. Yeah, so champion ×2 allows you to take on 2 of my guys when you're attacking. All right, so notice it costs 0. So it costs 0 resources. This little gray with a 0 means it costs 0 resources to play. These things are innate horrible attributes of fanatics and people that don't believe. So it costs them nothing. So he put that into play.
And I have nothing really else. I have no resources, and everything else costs resources.
Okay.
And that's all I can really put up right now.
All right, so the encounter stage, stage 3. So do you want to put any guys up?
Of course, I'm putting up my fanatic.
Okay. So notice he has influence of 5. This means that I have to put someone up against him, even though I don't have anybody that can match him. I'm going to put up the missionary. The fanatic has more influence, and see, I have 3, he has 5. And when the defenders of the faith are encountered and they lose that encounter, they take on a spiritual burden, which represents any false doctrine or teaching or even a false living influenced by that false teaching that is a burden to them. So now my missionary cannot use his text, which is on his card. It says, if missionary has no spiritual burdens, draw 2 cards from the draw deck. I no longer can do that. So the missionary has one burden. And so that's the encounter stage. We take our guys back. And now it goes to the resource stage.
Okay. Now I have 2 guys who get me 2 resources.
So he gets 2 little resources with they have an R on them. Okay.
Resource. Okay, and then my
That's it.
faith.
So now it goes to the defenders of the faith. So now I go through the same 4 stages. Draw stage. I have 4 defender champions, and so I draw 4 cards. All right, so this is now the activation stage. Gifts of the Holy Spirit, like patience and joy, also cost nothing to play. So I am putting this gift of patience, which gives the person that has this possession +2 influence in an encounter with a pagan or fanatic. So now this guy, I'm going to mark that he has an influence of 5. Now the good thing about that then also is that the defenders of the faith win a tie in an encounter. I also have joy. Now I'm getting lucky here because normally the defenders of faith really have to activate their teachings to be able to gain ground on the enemies of the faith. But I got 2 possessions and they're both very helpful. They can go into play immediately. This is joy. The holder of this possession is unaffected by any enemy interject card. This also applies to the current possessions of this champion. I'm going to beef up the theologian so that he can take his stand against the fanatic, etc., and can't lose what he has.
So what does that other possession do?
This possession means that he's unaffected by any enemy interject.
Okay.
Right? Okay, now I'm going to put a possession. I activated possessions. I'm activating a teaching. Second commandment. This means I have to actually know it. When we play with our confirmation kids, the kids actually have to know it word for word or they can't do it. So I'm putting the second commandment into play. Second commandment. You shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. What does this mean? We should fear and love God so that we do not curse, swear, use satanic arts, lie, or deceive by his name, but call upon him in every trouble, pray, praise, and give thanks. I'm putting it into play. All right, so this means that as long as this teaching is in play, it's in play until Jake can remove it. Choose any one champion to be -2 influence. If that champion is silenced, discard this teaching. This means I can choose any one champion to be -2. Obviously, I'm going to be choosing one of his. I am going to choose the fanatic because he's still a threat. The fanatics are very high in influence. So as long as that's out there, that fanatic is -2 influence. Okay, my activation stage is done. I'm going to the encounter stage. Crazy turn of events. I'm putting the theologian into the...
this here does not affect the humanist, so I will go up against with the humanist. I'm sure because
I take a spiritual burden. I totally missed that. Missed that.
Because it only affects fanatics and pagans.
Well done, well done. See, when I encounter, first I put my guy up, and then he gets to choose his guy. And you can also put 2 or 3 guys up if you want to, but then you gotta, they get to choose where they put their guys. So I took a spiritual burden. That was really bad on my part. The good news is it's the resource stage. And the mentor, signified by Ignatius here, if the mentor has no spiritual burdens, remove 1 burden from any other champion. And this action may be performed 1 time during any defender resource stage. So this mentor is going to remove this guy's spiritual burden. He's going to say, "Hey, partner, man, you're not thinking straight. Go back to the scriptures. Get your act together." So he's got his spiritual burden taken away. And the resource stage, I get 1 resource for the steward, who's represented by Saint Perpetua here. who died in the Colosseum. She brings us in one resource. Okay, so that's the end of my turn. So now it flips back to Jake.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.